Welcome to Edge Radio Australia. This is Freedom Fridays, but very, very early indeed. As we all know, it's far from Friday, but it is an occasion that I think we just have to talk about. It's very, very important to do so. By my right, I have Derek Whitaker. Derek, great to see you as always.
Good to see you.
Today, the subject matter isn't exactly something very, very pleasant, is it?
It isn't, no. Unfortunately, we've got to do this on a Monday, and it's one of those things that hits people on very different emotional levels. Yep. It's a hot potato. So.
It very much is. Now, a gentleman we've got as well who we see every week for Freedom Friday, an absolute, the gentleman is the correct word. He's a fantastic fellow, very knowledgeable, and he is right now, on the ground there in the US and has a personal experience here with what's gone on. Welcome, Dan. Good to see you, mate. Really, really great to see you.
Hey guys. How you doing?
Well, we've certainly had better weeks, and I'm sure you feel exactly the same.
Oh, no, it's been horrible. It's been horrible. What a terrible crisis, isn't it?
It really has been horrendous, hasn't it? Mate, can we just jump straight to you? You actually had relatives there where Charlie was assassinated. I don't even want to say it. Isn't it ridiculous? There you go.
But he was murdered. Great American patriot, a person of faith, a believer in Christ. A faithful servant of God who tried to be able to debate issues that are important to people and teach kids on campuses around the United States about the truth, with faith and fervor and goodness and strength. I don't think I ever see him put anybody down. Sure, a lot of people got ticked off at him. But he always was speaking about truth, gave everybody a chance to speak theirs, and was just there to teach them. Right? He knew that someday this was a possibility. I was shocked, frankly, to have it happen here in Utah, of all places. Right? My daughter, who lives with us. UVU, Utah Valley University, is only about 10 miles from my home. And she was on campus that day and coming out of her math class, and everybody was running the other way. Okay. And this had all happened, and it happened. So she knew she was right there and was coming out of class just as it happened, that Charlie was shot and his life was taken, unfortunately. He was there, and luckily they've apprehended the assailant, at least allegedly. There are conspiracy theories around all this. Let's not get distracted by that. But this fellow is evidently a young man who has many personal problems. Very bright, but dropped out of college. At full ride scholarship at Utah State, dropped out, and was living with a transgendered individual who is his roommate and romantic partner. His family was a family of faith. He evidently had rejected that role and had become, become radicalized via social media and other things, and had turned from his family's faith and became a very dangerous and person that was very sick in his mind to have done something so terrible and so evil. It's so tragic. There are people around the world that are remembering and memorializing Charlie Kirk as the great American, a champion for freedom around the world, right? And so he was martyred for his cause, and there are literally tens of thousands of people rallying to the call to spread the word of truth and freedom. In schools, campuses, high schools, universities around the United States. So they may have struck down the hero, but they have actually advanced the cause of freedom and goodness and the cause of Christ in doing so.
I certainly agree with you on that one. It's a horrible indictment that sort of thing had to happen, to bring so many people to the light, I guess. But I'm gonna talk about the negative side. I cannot get over the comments. I cannot get over the rhetoric from the left media, from the MSNBC, the CNN, from influencers online. It's, to me, it is showing just the level of depravity and sick human beings, mental illness that we have in this world. I didn't actually agree with everything that Charlie said. Okay, I'm on board with about 90%. Not going to lie, but at the same time, because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you want to take their life. No. And it just and just actually, even like, not worse then, but certainly on that level, the man who's taken his life was, that's a very, very mentally ill person. But let's look at the mental state, the emotional state, and just the quality of the human being who are celebrating it. What are your thoughts here, Derek?
Well, you want to separate politics from family. I think in terms of what the people have responded, I think as it gets darker in the world, the light shines brighter. And I think it's really highlighting the whole shutdown, cancel culture at an extreme level of what extents it goes to. The ones that promote we shouldn't have hate speech will, shut it down with a rifle. The ones that preach to the right that they shouldn't have rifles, use them to destroy those who oppose that view. And I just, it kind of, the actions kind of exemplify and amplify what has been going on for a while. And in an inadvertent way, it helps the truth come out even more, because people look at how sick have we really gotten to this as a society. Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw this over the 4 years after 2020, how a lot of people, I watched, I heard confessions of a lot of people saying, I came to Christ because I could just realize how evil the world was, and I didn't consider myself a religious person before that.
Well,
but the evil just amplified it, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is what we're seeing once again. We've reached a point in society. Now, I was thinking about this, how this compares to other assassinations that we've had, over history and over time. Okay. And, it's a horrible thing to compare, but this one has had a global effect on people, where you're seeing people in South Korea march and pay homage to him. Also in England, some are saying it was 3 million that showed up in London in the marches over the weekend. So it was somewhere between 1 to 3 million. And you contrast that with everything that's happening in Nepal at the moment.
Yeah.
Now that's a violent reaction, but the people are rising up and saying, we've had enough. We've had enough of the tyranny of corrupt leadership and governance over us. And they're pushing back. And there's so many politicians who are afraid right now. This is what I'm hearing. Fear, and wanting to discredit and the more they double down and try to discredit those who are speaking the truth, you kind of go, that's an interesting reaction. And I know I'm kind of diverging from the shock of it all. I think there's phases that you go through this. Some people, they're in shock right now. Mm-hmm. I think then there's grief. Then the big one is anger. And what they've done is they have taken out a hero of a lot of young people who are fearless and have no fear for standing up for truth and no regard to, their life. And so they have potentially woken up a sleeping giant here. And that's what's going to be really fascinating to watch as the weeks unfold.
I'm glad you actually just said that, because obviously, look, I'm feeling anger, but I'm not a young person. But I do feel this. Do you know what I find incredibly curious? And let's be very honest here. Okay, have we had to board up any windows? Have we had to actually, have massive security? Has the conservative part of the world, have we looted? Have we been destroying streets and setting fire things? No.
Burning and looting, and there hasn't been a policeman killed over it. None of that's happened, because that's not how we are.
No,
as a people.
Right.
People of liberty and people of faith are exactly the opposite from the people of fear and lies and who have been entrapped by the devil into these corrupt and evil things that they're doing. The left is an army for evil, very clearly. And Charlie Kirk was one person that identified that very clearly. All you have to do is know a little bit about history and how everything works, and to be able to see the obvious. We are coming at a time where there's a major shift in the way people, you either have to be on one side or the other. It's coming to the point where you either follow, you either have faith. It doesn't have to necessarily be Christian, but have faith in God and the creation and his mighty power, or you're on the other side and you're following the deceiver of and father of lies. It's one way or the other, and it's time for people to choose. And I think Charlie Kirk was the prophet that brought that truth to the surface greater than anyone else so far.
Dan, and sorry, I'm just going to interrupt for a moment. I'm sitting here right now between two men of immense faith. Okay, your religion is very, very strong. Your faith is very strong. I certainly have my faith, but I'm far less. I don't know. Committed is probably the wrong word, but you guys, you live your faith so strongly. It's a very, very fantastic thing to see, right? But any people who might not be as religious or might not go to church as often and all that sort of thing, people like myself who believe in God, but might not follow those other steps. We see this. We see how evil it is, mate. We see how evil it is, and I thank God for people like the two men on my sides here, because in times like this where we could lose our direction, okay, it is important to actually look to people who have got the right advice and look to God, I guess.
You can't be a moderate anymore. You're either for me or against me, God says, right?
Yeah.
And those who have been harboring evil in their lives and sin, it's getting exposed right now, right? It's like the light is on, the darkness has gotten darker, the light has gotten brighter, and the cockroaches are scrambling to try to get back in the darkness because the light exposes them. It's interesting, Dan brings up the word prophets. The false prophets are getting exposed, that of the mainstream or legacy media, whatever you want to call them, right? The contrast of what they're saying and how out of touch they've become as the voice of the people, right, is never more highlighted in these situations, because the people are in shock, and they're allowing these suggestions that this is he got what he deserved, and that narrative is just being once again discrediting themselves. It's really doing them damage
during the whole COVID situation.
But at the same time, it's also showing the heart.
True,
right?
True.
So not only exposing it, but it's revealing what's in here.
I was just going to say, during the COVID experience, we'll call it that, we all heard the saying, the media is the virus. Okay. Well, that virus is killing so many people. It really is. And when I watch what the media are doing to us every single day, again, I always reiterate this. It is not a service. It is a business. And the finest thing you can do for your quality in your heart, your soul, and your life, and the best thing you can do for your family is turn that thing off. Those people are evil and they are liars. And I look at the events and things I've personally been involved with in the last few years, and I've seen what the media has portrayed, and I've been there on the ground and in reality and experienced it with my very own eyes and hands and feet. And I can tell you right now, they just lie and they create division. It is disgusting. Turn that TV off and go and consume your information elsewhere. This has got to stop. They are evil.
They do it for power.
Yes, they do.
They do it for control. They do it to advance their evil agenda and to downgrade and destroy the hearts and minds and souls of people around the world. They do it because they're selfish. They do it because they're evil. They do it because they're twisted. They're a device of evil, and those people just need to be stopped. But people of faith, people who are believers like you, right? You just need to stand up.
Yeah.
You need to do whatever God calls you to do to stand up and be better than you are. You
That's
just
right.
need to be able to stand up to evil, choose the things which are right, and be, for us, be men, be true men of God and women of God around the world with faith in our footsteps, believing that God will lead us and God has all power. God created the heavens and the earth, but he will spew out of his mouth those who are lukewarm.
It's come to a point where, you hear a lot of rhetoric talking about, we don't want hate speech. There is one thing we do need to hate, and that is evil.
Yeah.
We need to hate evil because God hates evil. I mean, he is good, right? And evil and goodness cannot mix together. It's like oil and water. They don't mix together. And this has been highlighted. There's a separation now happening where a remnant is now coming forward, and as Dan's highlighted, has to be strong, has to stand up. You have to be about your life purpose. You have to be about your assignment. The world needs you to do your assignment. And whatever phase that is, it may be not going to college and university campuses and arguing and debating young people in colleges. That was Charlie's assignment, right? That was his purpose.
Right.
It may be, for some people, it's as simple as raising a family, right? Like my wife at the moment, she's in the phase of life where she's homeschooling her kids and looking after them. Goodness, I don't know how she does it sometimes. I really don't.
And guess what? Here's the absolute shocker. Your kids are absolutely gorgeous, right?
Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that to pump up your tires, but this is, it's the greatest job in the world to raise your children. It is the most important thing. And people go and diminish that all the time. Please stop doing that. You don't need to be a career this or career that. You be you.
Yeah.
But there is no greater gift. There is no more important purpose, life purpose in life than making and raising a beautiful family.
And this is, and I want to back you. That's one thing that Charlie said: get married, have children. Right. This is one of the family values, and there's been such an attack over the years on the family unit on so many fronts. And I don't want to bring up it, but some of us have fought that even in the courtrooms of society, right? Fighting for the family and fighting for the rights for parents to parent their children. And, we've even seen this where people have left this country, good people have left this country to maintain that right. I want to educate my kids this way, and the state is dictating that I go a different direction. Well, it's come to that. And we as a society have to rise up and go, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong, and we are not backing off. And they feel the pressure. I've seen them sweat. Yes, they have. Okay. They've stood on my doorstep and sweated, right? I've watched them sweat. And when they know you're serious, they sense that strength and they get nervous, right? And it's not to intimidate. It's just an honest question. I hold you accountable because you are taking taxpayers' money that we pay and pour into, and you're pushing these agendas onto our society, looking at what you're trying to destroy, our family and our faith. It's wrong. We're not taking it anymore. You serve us, you public servants.
Exactly. Remember,
Charlie showed us the example of what we need to do to stand up for the truth and for ourselves and for our families and for freedom and for goodness, righteousness. He told us, he set the example of what true persons of faith ought to be like by setting the example in his own family and in his own life. Now, he wasn't perfect, I'm not saying that, but he set an example that can be emulated by us. This program will never be the same because now Charlie has set the example of what we need to be like in order to further the cause of freedom around the world, right? It can't be done without faith, though. Faith is the cornerstone of the power that God gives us to be able to do what we need to do. And I don't care if it's what religion you are. Have faith that God can make prevail. God will prevail. The prophecies of all religions show that God will prevail, but we need to stand with him so that we can prevail. along with our families. And our children can have faith and the strength of commitment to know that we have their backs and that we will stand for them to do those things which are right, and that we will not cave to the pressure and that these evil men and women are trying to create these situations around the world. We need to stand strong because these are the last days that have been prophesied.
It's interesting too, as we get into the last days, is that the devil knows his time is short, so he's getting more desperate, and so he's overplayed his hand. He always does, right? And I think we've got to keep that in mind. That as far as a political movement is, I want to put politics aside for a moment. We've been talking really about faith.
Right? Have we talked about politics? Really, no.
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 And so the influence of evil has been on what you could call the 7 mountains of influence, one of them being politics, the others are law and health. And I won't go into all of them, but the different mountains of society that are influenced by different areas of culture. And we've seen that infiltration of evil into those different mountains. And we are now pushing back that evil. And it's not going to stop.
It really is.
You read the book, we win. And that desperation, again, has been demonstrated because the devil always overplays his hand.
I've got a big smile right now because you read the book, we win. I love that. That is a great line. And it's incredibly true. But I'm going to say something here which some people will take offense by, and I just don't care. I want to say out there to so many of the men of the world, grow some balls. For God's sake, grow some balls. Like I've just the destruction of masculinity over the last 50 years has been very deliberate by so many institutions, and so much of what's been going on has been part of it. But this is the time when, and I'm not playing the gender thing as far as like, men or women against each other. Far from it. I'm just seeing far too much weakness from men. Men need to stand up. And, when we see someone, a man of the character, of the composure and the quality of Charlie Kirk, and he has lost his life, and his wife has lost that beautiful man. His children have lost that beautiful dad, right? If that doesn't strike something inside you that fires your belly and your heart, then you are weak.
Here's a man who walked into the lion's den, right, on the college campuses that have been polluting the minds of young people for how many decades now, of institutions that were formed on Judeo-Christian principles and have so wandered from that. And that's what happens when evil is allowed to be the gatekeepers of society, is that it then perpetrates and affects our children. I mean, I went to university in the early 90s, and if you were a man, the feminists were after you. If you actually questioned them on their ideologies, they were there. And their handbook in the alumni was that you had to be respectful of no sexist of any sex or any religion. Well, if you're a man and you're a Christian, you were a target. And this is, I can't imagine what it's like on the university campus now at this time when wokeism and all these other crazy ideologies have come into the discourse and are like this. I didn't create too many friends at university. I would ruffle
you're a pretty
feathers.
friendly guy.
I'd ruffle feathers, and I'd get university lectures offside and all that stuff. Not that I was there to stir, but it was like, I cannot believe how you're just trying to steamroll your evil ideology onto us and expect us to accept this as normal and swallow that pill. It's like, no, I question your dialect. I question your arguments. It wasn't personal, but in university, you should be able to have those kind of debates.
In university, you should be questioning.
Charlie went right onto the firing line.
Yes.
Where it was absolutely huge, fearlessly, and took a bullet in the cause of what he was fighting for.
Those online at the moment watching, I'd really love your comments. We can see one particular feed, but I'd really like anybody who wishes to contribute. If you'd like to come on board, that would be great. Edge is all about communication, conversation, and letting every single person have a voice. And that's exactly what Charlie was about, and why. I never knew Charlie personally. Okay, I can't believe how shattered I am about a man that I never met. It's really affected, and not just me, so many people around me. I mean, when this first happened, I actually sadly was watching YouTube literally when it happened. So like seconds after it happened, I actually, jumped on the phone. I'm trying to call Joel Jamal, who, is a friend and the leader of Turning Point Australia, obviously knows Charlie, so well because of Turning Point USA. Because I just thought, and isn't it strange? I thought I wasn't thinking politically. I'm thinking, I just need my mate to know that someone so important to him is in trouble, right? And and I'm not talking myself up here. What I'm trying to say is we should be caring about people, right? This is so bloody wrong. It is so wrong. And I don't hate people who disagree with me. I will disagree with them. I will argue with them. I will debate them, but I don't hate them.
No. And that's the thing. That's the thing that when I went to university, it was a case of, we debated for the sake of trying to find the truth. Am I missing something here? Yeah. Please, let's debate this and talk this out, because there might be some understanding that you have that I don't see.
Yeah,
it's become now, if I disagree with you, I'm offended. It's like, that's not helpful. That's not helpful for the progress of humanity or you as an individual, that just because you disagree, they should be cancelled. And this has been cancellation in the extreme, what we've seen in the last few days. But there are consequences to that action, and we're going to be seeing how that plays out over the next few days. And it's had global ramifications as well.
Yeah, and we'll get onto that for sure. Dan, some thoughts?
I admire the courage and grace that his beloved wife has shown in face of his death. The comments that she made, and there are tens of thousands of people coming on to the cause of faith. And you're right. It's not about politics. It was with Charlie. It was about his faith and about his truth, and how that fit into how people believe and understand the world as it is. And that is okay. So America was created for the cause of freedom, but because God's hand was there guiding that freedom to create a free nation under God with liberty and justice for all. That was the purpose of our country, and it's wandered afar, especially with the liberal left and how their ideologies are, and the people that have been allowed to become members of the House of Representatives, who are disgusting people who don't even believe in our own constitutional system and want to destroy our country. The left ideologically wants to destroy the fundamental nature of what's important to our country, which is the bedrock of Western civilization now, and the bulwark of what needs to stand. Because look at what's happening to Europe.
Yeah.
Right? Europe, free speech is going away in Europe. They're being controlled by foreigners who are attacking the fundamental way of life and values. The church in Europe is being attacked constantly. Faith is at an all-time low. However, we're seeing now, because of Charlie Kirk and people like him and Turning Point and others, that there are many people gathering to faith, right? Now, even in Iran, millions of people have converted to Christianity.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, it's straight. It's like, I don't know how it happened, but it just did. And so there are things that are moving. I mean, right now, it's like I said, people are going to have to choose. But men and women of faith and conviction and strength need to stand tall at this time and not compromise their positions. And we as a people need to not take any more abuse from our leaders like we did over the last 4 years and other times. We need to get below the surface and dig out all of the evil influences that are in our government and prevent them from causing us more harm, because they are. You know, yeah. President Trump has a better plan now because he knows what's going on and who the bad actors are. Mm-hmm. There are many he can't get to, especially in some of the clandestine services. So, there are
leaders out there who can actually be look, brought to justice, which are probably just more exposed. I mean, like Keir Starmer in the UK, what he has done to that country and his predecessors, but this man has put his foot on the throttle for trying to destroy the UK. 30 people in the UK per day are being arrested for their Facebook posts. Are you kidding me? Like, the country that effectively began free speech, that's where the experiment started, are now being arrested left, right, and centre. That country is being that entire area is being destroyed. Europe is completely under attack right now. And I am personally overjoyed with happiness to see millions of people. Millions. We don't know. The mainstream media said 100,000. I tell you well, yeah, look, okay, honestly, so many people in this embarrasses me. I mean, I used to work for these people, right? Like, these people, is their intellect that low, or is their soul that bought? Right?
It is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you cannot be that stupid. You can't look at a picture that shows millions and millions of people and go, oh, that's 100,000. Or, I mean, there's so many examples of this. They just lie. And we are, and this is something you've brought into my life, Derek, okay? Like, we are currently living, it's very much a spiritual war, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It is good versus evil. And we will be triumphant. I don't actually have any doubt. We're going to take a lot of hits on the way. Like, life is going to be tough on the way, but we are going to beat these people.
But we can rest. We're covered. We're covered, man.
I don't know how to rest. I'm not good at that.
I'm not saying that you don't work, but I'm saying you rest in the assurance that God's got you. The scripture talks in Psalm 91, you're hiding under the shadow of his wing, right? It's like a mother bird that looks after its young birds. You can do that in the storm. You're under that shadow. And so when you walk in that confidence, Aaron, you realize that, and when you understand how good God is, when you really get to know him and spend time with him in his presence, you become fearless. You go, what's the worst they can do to me? They kill me. Well, that just propels me into his presence even more, into the fullness of his presence. Is that all you got? And there's a fearlessness that comes about it. You're like, well, you can get caught up onto the rat race, and it's kind of like this. Where do you want to play in life? Do you want to scratch around with the chickens in the chicken coop, or do you want to soar with the eagles? And that's kind of where it's at. It's like, most people don't realize. Talk about all this identity and gender identity. They don't understand that they're royalty. When you have a relationship with the King of Kings, you're royalty. So royalty doesn't line up for a paycheck. Royalty doesn't beg for bread. Royalty already has it at their disposal. It's like going to an ATM and just putting the card in and drawing it out of the bank. So when you have that relationship, you just walk with, it's all covered for me. I've inherited it. I'm co-heirs with him. I can walk in that power. I can walk in that dominion mandate that I've been given to conquer the earth. There's fearlessness in that.
And all you have to do is choose that path.
Yeah.
Choose that path. Everyone has that ability to follow Christ Jesus the Lord and his gospel. Everyone has that ability. And what other faith you are, to embrace that faith and follow God. That's all he asks, is he asks that you love him and that you keep his commandments and you have faith and you stand for principle. That's what he expects of us. He doesn't expect us to be lukewarm. He expects us to be better.
See, all of us were given a book. There's a book written about you, right? While you're in your mother's womb, all the days were written for me, okay? Charlie lived out his days. He had an incredible life, and yielding to that, right, that life, that walk that he had, yeah, okay, he didn't do it perfectly. No. None of us have.
It's not possible.
But what I'm saying is this, is the more yielded you are to that life assignment, the better things work out, the more impact you have on society and life. And I think that's what we've got to come to. We don't own ourselves. We're his. When we have yielded to him completely, we don't own it. It's not like I'm holding 5% of Derek back. I'm just going to give 95% over. No, I have to give 100% over and go, it's not mine anymore. Do what you want with me. When you do that, you have mass impact on society. You have mass impact on history. You have mass impact for your family and for the children and your children's children. That's what it's about, because you can't take it with you, right? The greater wealth is about this, is what you leave for the next generation to inherit. And that's where it's at.
It's a mindset change completely. Yeah. Absolutely. And for me, okay, it is actually a difficult mindset change. And I'll be honest with myself. And that's not because of a lack of faith in God or anything like that. Well, actually, maybe it is. But where I'm going on this is I have a certain element of control freak about myself. I think that I'm in control of my own destiny. So therefore, letting go completely is difficult. But guess what?
I love your honesty.
Yeah, but I also look around and I look at the
That's
people
his gift, though. That's his gift. His gift to us is that ability to choose.
Yeah.
Choose it or not.
And choose wisely too. And I also look around at people and okay, how I've been convinced over the last few years of changing sort of my patterns in life, I guess, is because, okay, I've surrounded myself with far better people, right? Okay, that's important. You really are the sum of the people around you. On top of that, also, I look and, okay, I'm an observer. I'm a guy who likes to have conversations. I like to gain other knowledge. And what I'm getting here is when I look around at the people who embrace faith and literally live that life and go, hey, you know what? Let Jesus take the wheel, they're all going really well. Their lives are great. Their lives are better than those who aren't. And that is evidence. And I'm a guy who needs evidence. So for me, even though like letting it go and letting somebody else completely take control of my life is difficult because it's just not how I'm wired, I genuinely see, you know, how incredibly lucky people who can do that are.
And you know what? You've highlighted something. Thank you. And you've highlighted something that is really, really important is you can be, and if this is your I'll use the word reservedly, calling to speak out like Charlie did, then great. That's fantastic. But the greatest witness you'll have is how you actually live your life.
Yeah.
Right. That's the one thing that people will see is like, great, you say this, but do you walk the talk? And there's too many who've compromised, and I'm not having a go at them, but there is time to go, you know what? I blew it. I own it. I'm sorry, God, get me back on path. How do you want to fix? Somehow I've ended up in this mess. What do I do from here? And that's a big part of it, Aaron, in terms of the surrender is like, you know what? I've tried it my way and look how far it's got me. How's that working out for me? Having that honest conversation. It ain't worked out the way I want. Okay, I'll give up, God. Where do we go from here? I need your help.
Yeah. You've got to take that personal responsibility, right? You've got to. But and then after that, as I say, sort of step back and let Jesus take the wheel, right?
Pastor Aaron has spoken.
Well, in an Aaron analogy, everything's about the steering wheel, everything's about driving. So,
yes, it is
in my world. So there you go. No, but I mean, okay,
it's time for a change of tires, is it?
That's so true. I'm very, very privileged. I sit here with people who, as I say, have immense faith and have very great, qualities about them, and I'm sure that you both got great faults as well. Okay, but I also look at the fact that in my past, when I've made decisions based on more superficial things, like I mean, I always make lots of jokes about my 2.5 times that I've been married and all that kind of carry on, right? But I made decisions based on lust, not on substance, right? And when you make decisions based on lust, guess what? It's a temporary thing, and it's normally based in something that's not necessarily positive. Yeah. So I'm very thankful to have wonderful people in my life who see life differently. I won't agree with everything. There's no doubt about that. But I would encourage people to get out there and do the exact same thing. Have conversations. Talk about this. Talk to people you disagree with. It's so bloody good for you. And you will develop yourself as a person. And I don't know, if I've got one shot at this life, I don't know if we've got 10 goes at it, whatever. But I think that I mean this honestly. I think that this life for me, this time around, I've learned a lot of lessons, right? And I've done it bloody tough. And I've also had some wonderful things. So, I think that where I'm going on this is you guys are right. Faith is so damn important, and it is the center of everything, and everything else is kind of fluff.
I mean, you look at what Charlie's gone, it's tragic that he leaves a widow and 2 fatherless kids. I mean, that's
horrendous.
That's the thing, but look what those kids are inheriting, right? If Charlie hadn't done his assignment, if he hadn't done his purpose, what would America be like now? And what would it become, right? And it's those individuals who leave so much more for the kids. And while they're probably at an age where they cannot comprehend it and understand what's going on, they're going to be taught a huge lesson of the way he lived his life. And I think that's the thing that we've all got to look at is this life is so temporary. It goes, it's but a shadow, right? All the things that you aspire to whatever it is your thing in life, whether it be, making a lot of money through to, I don't know, being famous or whatever. It's all dust in the wind, as Candace once said, right? It is. We are but dust in the wind, but only what lasts for Christ will be of eternal value. And that's why we've got to live for those eternal values, those treasures. They're the ones that go from generation to generation to generation.
We are also literal sons and daughters of God, been created in his image, and we've been sent here on this earth to make choices, to choose faith and to follow him, or to go our own way and follow the deceiver. So, we have the choice. The greatest gift that Christ gave us was his own life, so that he could pay for the sins of humankind, no matter what they are, if we will but repent and come unto him and give ourselves over to him. And we can do it at any time. It's never too late. It doesn't matter what you've done. You can be forgiven by the Savior of the world, and through his grace, find his redemption and his redeeming power in your life. That's the truth. And that's what Charlie knew, and that's what Charlie taught.
Sorry, just a little cough there. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask some final words. I think you pretty well just summed that up, Dan, beautifully, actually. But this show has not gone in any way, shape, or form the way that I thought or planned. Not that I do a lot of planning on these things, but I think it's been an important show. I think that it's just, I just want people to stop and think, and let's think about what's important. Take that time and just care about other people. It's crazy. It's just, yeah.
I think you've got to realize this is, what are you going to build your life on? You're going to build it on the rock, or you're going to build it on shifting sand? Because the world is tumultuous right now. And guess what? It's going to be tumultuous. The road ahead for the next few months is going to get rockier, I believe. I think that, I agree. And you've got to realize, what do you stand on? What do you stand on? Some of the stuff that you've been pursuing in your life is very temporary, very temporary. Doesn't matter. Who cares what car you drive? Who cares what house you live in? No one at their funeral. You never hear people talk about how much money they had in the bank account. Nobody cares. What they do care is, what did that person contribute to their lives and society, which is what you're going to hear at the sad funeral of Charlie. And, that's what we've all got to consider for our own lives, is what are we doing with it? It's so short. Don't waste a day. Don't waste an hour. Don't miss a moment.
Dan?
Stand tall, stand for freedom, stand for goodness and truth. Be courageous in your hearts, so that your freedom can be protected against those who would want to take it away. You have the choice. Each of us has the choice. It's the gift that we've been given by God for us to decide for ourselves if we'll embrace our own power and his power in our lives to move forward. If you do, your lives will be so much more enriched, and you'll have joy, and you'll have goodness, and you will meet your purpose. And those things are so important.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for being the show. This is Freedom Friday here on Edge Radio Australia.